And that's the end of the story.
Did you ever see her again? Did you ever go back to see her?
Once, maybe 3 or 4 months later, I felt so bad about stealing the camera. I hadn't even used it yet. I finally made up my mind to return it, but Granny Ethel wasn't there anymore. Someone else had moved into the apartment, and he couldn't tell me where she was.
She probably died.
Yeah. Probably.
Which means she spent her last Christmas with you.
I guess so. I hadn't thought about it that way.
It was a good deed, Augie. That was a nice thing you did for her.
I lied to her and I stole from her. I don't see how you could call that a good deed.
You made her happy. The camera was stolen anyway. Not as if the person you took it from really owned it.
Anything for art, eh, Paul?
I wouldn't say that, but at least you put the camera to good use.
And now you got your Christmas story, don't you?
Okay, so we've heard the story. It's definitely memorable. But let's unpack why. Why do the analysis notes call it short, heartfelt, and good?
Well, digging into those notes, a few core things really stand out. The first one is just its human simplicity. You know, it's not about huge events.
Right, it's shoplifting, returning a wallet, an unexpected visit, sharing a meal, tiny things.
Bullshit is a real talent, Augie. To make up a good story, you have to know how to push all the right buttons. I'd say you were up there among the masters.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a good story.
Shit. If you can't share your secrets with your friends, then what kind of friend are you?
No massive drama, just these small human-scale interactions, but they're packed with compassion or the potential for it. Augie choosing to play along, that comes from a place of not wanting to hurt her, right?
Yeah, it's compassion, even if it involves a lie.
Yeah.
And that creates this really moving moment.
And that leads straight into the next point from the analysis. The moral complexity. This story lives in the gray areas.
Totally. He lies, but maybe for a good reason. He steals, but maybe from a thief. And the result of these questionable actions is, well, actual happiness for someone. It actually follows a very classic narrative structure.
Yeah, you can see it clearly. There's the beginning, the setup. The kid steals, leaves the wallet. Then the middle. Augie wrestling with the wallet, the visit, the day with Ethel. Then the climax, the meal, finding the cameras, the theft.
In the end, leaving, trying to go back, finding she's gone, and that final reflection. It's simple, but it's structured really effectively to build empathy and feeling.
And it hits on these really universal themes, doesn't it? Loneliness is huge. Both Augie and Ethel are profoundly alone on Christmas. Nothing is neatly tied up. He doesn't get caught. He doesn't find Roger. It ends with this quiet sadness, uncertainty. But Augie seems to have found some kind of peace or perspective.
It's not a Hollywood ending. It feels much more human, real, and it sticks with you because of that.
So, yeah, simple situation, complex characters and morals, universal feelings, strong structure, and a resonant ending. That seems to be the recipe.
Okay, so it's a good story, generally.
Which brings us to the really practical takeaway. For anyone listening who writes or wants to write short stories, this whole analysis basically gives you a fantastic guide. The notes pull out these key principles for writing a good short story, inspired directly by why Augie's story works so well.
Yeah, this is super useful. If you're looking for a framework, think about these points. Okay, first one. Choose a simple yet charged situation.
Right. Augie's story isn't epic. Lonely guy, lonely old woman, lost wallet, holiday. That's it. A short story doesn't need some huge, complex plot. One meeting, one small action, one moment that feels emotionally loaded that can be enough.
Look for an ordinary moment, maybe, and explore what's actually extraordinary about the human interaction within it, something you can connect with.
Principle number 2. Create a round character, not perfect. Augie isn't a hero or a villain. He's kind of both. He does good things, bad things, sometimes at the same time.
You don't have pages for a full biography in a short story, but you can show complexity. Show kindness, show weakness, show mistakes, alongside compassion. Give your character relatable flaws. Makes them feel real.
Third principle, don't write a moral lesson, let readers feel. We talked about the moral complexity. Augie's story doesn't tell you if he was right or wrong.
No preaching. It just presents the dilemma, the messy reality, and trusts you to feel it, to think about it. Show the situation. Don't explain the moral. Let the complexity speak for itself.
Fourth, start quickly, end precisely. This is crucial for short stories. Augie's tale doesn't mess around with long introductions. It gets right to the inciting incident, the kid, the wallet, and then into the main encounter.
No room for rambling backstory. Get straight to the point. Start near the heart of the conflict. And the ending needs to land precisely, leave an impact.
Right. Principle 5. Every detail must serve something. Think about those details in Augie's story. The photos, the cold, the 15 locks, the specific food, the cameras. Every single one adds something. Atmosphere, character, emotion.
It builds the feeling. In short fiction, there's no space for waste. Every word, every description has to pull its weight. Ask yourself, if I cut this detail, does the story lose something important?
Good test. Okay, principle 6. Create an ending with resonance. Augie realizing he gave Ethel her last Christmas. That hits hard. The ending doesn't need to solve everything, but it needs to leave the reader with a strong feeling, something that lingers.
Yeah, maybe an image, a question, an emotion that stays with you, not necessarily an answer.
And the last one, number 7. Choose one moment that contains a whole world. This feels key to short fiction. Augie's story focuses intensely on that one day, that one visit.
But that single encounter says so much about loneliness, connection, guilt, compassion, all of it. A short story is like a snapshot, but it has to be a snapshot that implies a much bigger picture. Focus tight, but make it meaningful.
So if you put it all together, the formula looks something like a simple charged situation,
Plus a flawed human character.
plus deep human feeling,
Plus precise, effective details.
plus an ending with resonance.
Equals a good short story. Or at least a really strong start towards one.
That was a really rich deep dive, wasn't it? Into Augie's story and what makes it tick. We looked at the story, unpacked the analysis, and pulled out that practical 7-point guide for writers.
Yeah, hopefully you now have a framework grounded in this really affecting example for how you might approach your own short stories. It's a good reminder, I think, that powerful stories often come from simple, messy, deeply human places.
And it leaves us with a final thought to chew on, doesn't it? Augie lied. He stole. Objectively, those seem wrong, but he arguably gave real happiness to a lonely, dying woman, and he got a life-changing story and the tool, the camera that maybe led him towards art.
So, if you try to judge his good deed, do you look at the outcome, the intention, the personal transformation it caused? Where does Augie's Christmas story actually land on that moral scale? It's tricky.
What does that ambiguity tell us about just how complex human actions really are? And maybe for our purposes today, what does that complexity suggest about the kinds of rich, messy, fascinating stories we can tell?
Something to think about. Keep these ideas rattling around next time you sit down to write, or even just the next time you read a story that really grabs you.
Definitely. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.